Hi, we're back with the conflict hotline. We didn't get Denise on the line, but we're going to keep going with this situation because there's still a lot more to learn here, isn't there? Mm-hmm. And I'm particularly wondering about what's going on for Denise here as she's continuing to connect with her son. I'm guessing that there's something like, but you gotta stop smoking going on still in you. Because if it was me, that's how I'd be feeling, because I'm still attached to him saving his brain.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm wondering how this can still work that way.
Yeah. So in a way, there's an amazing, parallel, major age difference, but amazing parallel between the previous one and this one. It's kind of like the outcome and the connection. And so the part of the deal is that there's a question of timing. At this juncture, before this conversation, there wasn't any flow going back and forth of either one of you hearing the other. Right now, there's one-way flow. One way is better than zero way, as far as I can tell. One way is nowhere near as good as two-way. Without two-way, you can't really transform a conflict. So the question as parent is, how do I make enough space inside myself to hear my child long enough and spaciously enough so that there's room for me to be heard? Because unless there's room for me to be heard, the only thing I can do is force. And forcing loses after a certain time. We can't do that. So then there's the whole question, and I think that's a bit of what you're alluding to, is what do you do inside to make it even possible to stay the course? Because it's really tough. Has it been tough for you to be in this conversation with him?
Yes. I'm not feeling like we're going to get to a place where he can really hear and trust that I really do care.
He's not interested in your care.
Want him to enjoy his life and...
He's not interested in your care right now. Right now, he's not interested in you yet. He's only interested in his own freedom and having room for himself. Am I right?
Yeah, I mean, I can hear her. She's just not going to get what she wants.
Yeah. So the question is, what you do inside, as I understand it, is to keep reminding yourself what matters to you and soothing yourself inside to give yourself strength to stay with the conversation until the space to hear exists. And that is a big challenge. However, I think that ultimately that takes less work than stoking up the fire of the fighting. Because I'm hoping that despite the difficulty, there is something here that feels different and hopeful, isn't there?
There's been some listening, which is brand new.
For you?
And I think from Tim.
I don't know. But you're saying that there's been some for you. Is there anything that you're getting from being able to hear him?
Yeah, that he really doesn't, he really wants me to trust him.
And what's that like for you to understand that? How does that affect you?
It makes me a little anxious because I'm concerned about some of his choices.
Because you don't trust him.
Mostly I do.
In where it matters to him, you don't. So this is a place to say the truth.
Yeah.
And you want to say it in a way that honors him. Something like, I'm going to impersonate you for a moment. I so get that you want me to trust you, and I so much want to trust you, and I don't know what to do about the fact that I don't. Now that sounds different from you shouldn't. Do you feel the difference? It's truth-telling. Did it feel different to you?
Yeah, It felt really different.
Tell me what the difference was.
It was about you. Like I heard you, I heard what your experience was, and you weren't telling me what I can or can't do.
Yeah. And that begins the very thin tendril of connection around which you can weave more and more truth-telling back and forth, because there's also a lot of things that he has never told you.
Yeah. Wouldn't dare.
And somehow the paradox is, I'm guessing when you hear this truth-telling from me, I'm guessing there's going to be a little bit more room for you to say something truthful, isn't there?
I think what was hard for me about what you said is that I would like you to trust me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I want to do what I want to do. I want to make choices in my life. I'm not going to sacrifice, who I am in the world to get that trust. But I'd like to have that trust and be who I want to be in the world. To me, that's the kind of relationship I'd like to have with my mom.
Yeah. Does that make sense to you?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So, this is just a step. And I bet you have a question. Do you?
I'm still just wondering how to separate from the outcome. If it was me, I'd be coming up with consequences, even still. And I'm nervous about, yes, this is the kind of conversation I'd want to have. And yet, how do I merge that with my sense of like, okay, and if I find it on you, you're grounded.
I think that what you need is a high degree of honesty with yourself. And the question is this: has the consequences approach supported less smoking of pot? Has it?
I'm not sure.
There you go.
He's shaking his head.
It supported more smoking of pot happening in the ways that you don't know. That's what I started out by saying. You cannot actually control your children, especially not at 17. You just cannot. And so your choices are to fight or to connect.
And what about getting him to say back what's important to her? What if mom just needs to know that Tim understands where she's coming from?
Then
she cares about my brain. I get it.
Is it good for you to hear that?
I would like to be seen for more. I know you've heard those words so many times that I haven't explained more about. Your brain is just the key to you having so much enjoyment in your life.
Okay, so you want my brain to be healthy so I can enjoy life.
Yeah.
I guess it's just hard for me to take that in fully because it seems so obvious to me. Of course, I want that for myself. Of course you want that for me. You're my mom. And it seems so obvious to me that all the punishment and consequences of my behavior over the last year and a half around this, for something that seems so obvious to me, it's kind of makes me sick.
Yeah.
So one other thing that I'm getting is it's not possible to move through this in a painless way. There's so much pain on both sides that in order to go anywhere, the pain has to be dealt with. You need to look at the truth of what is happening, to put things on the table, to create connection. And that doesn't happen overnight. You can't get like this and have results. And that's part of what makes it so tough, is the willingness to prioritize the relationship and let things emerge. And the only thing that helps is to remember that the other one is an illusion. It doesn't actually create the results that you want.
It's very hard to remember that, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I have another, I'm going to speak up for the skeptic viewers again. So, for instance, when do we have this conversation? Do we have it about everything? Do we have it about what he eats? Do we have it about what kind of shoes he wears? Do we have it about how much he can use the car? I mean, there's all sorts of things where I'm nervous about protecting him. And it's really good reasons. I have really good reasons for not wanting him to eat certain things or wanting to wear these particular shoes, right? If I'm mom.
Yeah.
So when do I have this conversation with every single thing? Can I just put some rules down? Like, no, you're not allowed to wear those shoes.
You can try, and if you've been around parents of teenagers, you know how much trying that helps. The tragedy here is that, in the way that I see it, if you have this conversation in full, and I underline in full, not like pro forma, let's have a conversation, well, it didn't work, now we're going to do the consequences. If you really get to the bottom of any one issue, it makes conversation about anything else easier.
I don't think I could have a conversation in full, with full underline, with just her. I think I'd need someone else, because I don't have the trust that I would be held with the kind of just respect that I would like.
So you're saying you'd like some outside support?
Well, I'm saying if when you hear you say the word full and you have it underlined there, I know that I would need some outside support to have that conversation.
In other words, you don't trust her.
No.
And that's what happens. Neither one of them trusts the other. And that is the fundamental thing that is underneath all these other issues. Because what happens is, when she doesn't trust him, every behavior that he does, well, I can't trust that he's going to take care of himself. It doesn't matter what it is, food or shoes or a movie or a car or whatever. When he doesn't trust her is, like, I'm not going to listen to anything she says because she's just trying to control me. However, if you transform the parameters and they really talk to each other, sometimes, with outside help, because the level of mistrust is so high that neither one of them can open up sufficiently to be present for the other. So often it needs outside help. Once you get to a place of both of them really fully hearing each other, all the other conversations become easier. So any one issue is just a doorway into what's going on in this relationship. And it's been going on for years, because if you remember Sam and Emily, that's when it starts. Right there is the foundation of what erupts later, when there is all these years an attempt to control the child.